It would not be in the virtual drawer because it's not a project, it's a responsibility. Why don't we ask on Skype? Where is the midweek check-in verification responsibility link? Anyway, so if nobody's ever worked on organizing responsibility, it's no wonder that it would be a mess. So this would be the second week of the 136 degree east moon, right? And that's the current week that we're on, right?
Yes.
Cool.
But where is the document?
Well, I'm waiting. I don't know. I'm asking. I just asked on the Skype. We'll see if anyone has it. Otherwise, we have to create it. And I would just say we would start by creating a new document because midweek check-in is that important. We could have its own document for it, for the responsibility.
Okay. But where please teach me where I can find those, because I didn't know there were separate documents besides the virtual drawer.
The virtual drawer is a drawer of projects. So what project would this be under? The midweek check-in. What project do you think the midweek check-in should be under? And then whatever we create to organize this responsibility needs to be put into a project, and that will be linked to the virtual drawer. I know for sure it was done, but don't know where the link is. I will look to finish. I will look when we finish the midweek check-in. It should go the other way around. We shouldn't be working on the midweek check-in without the responsibility organizing. All right, so let's practice. So what is it about? Why do we do the midweek check-in, and what is it about?
The midweek check-in is to verify if the worker is doing his assigned work.
Yeah, so what would that relate to in terms of a project?
The project, that will be, for me, human resources.
It's a little different. Like, so the way I describe, human resources, what we call personnel support.
Personnel support.
So personnel support is our human resources project. The reason we use personnel support is because HR, the way that you talk about HR and the term HR and human resources is as if people are a resource for the benefit of the organization. And we reverse that and we say personnel support is all about supporting the individual worker in the workplace, right? So the way that I look at personnel support is the focus is supporting the worker, not the business, right? So the answer would be that personnel support would not be the correct place because, the midweek check-in is not exactly in the benefit of the worker, right? Because you're basically being evaluated, you're being, told whether or not you're on soft stop or hard stop. It's not exciting, right? So what is the other place that would be applicable? What's the other project?
So personnel support is not applicable?
No, because with personnel support, it's where you're supporting the worker in making sure that they have everything they need to be successful worker and human being, right? But that's very different. So what else are you doing in the midweek check-in that's important? What are we reviewing? We're reviewing people's assigned responsibilities, right? So what does that have to do? It has to do with what we are telling people to work on and what they're supposed to be accomplishing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what does that have to do with the worker, right? What would be the
Worker
project?
coordination.
Worker coordination, exactly. Worker coordination. And the reason why it would be worker coordination is because the whole concept of the midweek check-in is making sure we're coordinating all of the workers so that they're working on the assigned responsibilities that they're supposed to be working on. So it's 100% part of worker coordination, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So worker coordination is the correct response project. So within worker coordination, it should have all of the information about the midweek check-in, okay?
Yes.
So the only thing that needs to be in personnel support in relationship to the midweek check-in are the policies, right? So we want to educate the workers about the midweek check-in policies so that they are better able to be a successful worker in the organization, but the actual midweek check-in itself is under worker coordination, all right? So let's go to worker coordination and see what we can find.
I can bring the document. One moment.
Yeah, I'm going to open it up as well. And we'll just look through it and see what there is.
I already get the link. It's in the body team of us.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm opening it up here. I'm just going to go ahead and start with a search and go to midweek. Let's just search midweek. Midweek review and compare the workers have half their time focused on assigned responsibilities. All right, so we have something here. So let's click on that. Midweek review, training videos for midweek review, but there's nothing that's linked there. All right, so this right here is the midweek responsibility. I would change this a little bit and do it's the midweek review verification spreadsheet is the primary responsibility. But I think overall the responsibility of comparing the work and all that is good. So anyways, basically there's nothing here. So the first step is, what would the goal be?
We need to create the methodology to update the midweek report.
No. So that's what we're doing now, right? Me and you right now are creating the systems and processes for the step-by-step plan of how to do the midweek report, right? That's what we're doing. But the goal of the actual responsibility is something else, right? It's the actual outcome of when the entire responsibility is completed. What is the outcome?
The outcome is to every single worker to understand how to do that specific task.
No, that would be a lot more work. That would actually involve talking to each worker and training them and collaborating with them. So the midweek check-in you don't have to talk to a single worker in order to do the midweek check-in. So let me just give you the goal that I understand. So the end goal, right? The end goal is to have a list of the workers who will be placed on soft stop and hard stop because they are not completing the they're not complying with, or they're not achieving the minimum requirements of our assigned work policies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end goal. It's the list of workers who are being placed on soft stop or hard stop because they're not meeting our policy. And the policy is, what's the policy?
The policy is that you need to work 50% of your work and 25% in client work.
50% of your work time for what?
On FQN assigned work.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's the policy. Everything else is a guideline. So the guideline is 25% client work, and also you need to be doing billable work, right? So billable work is extremely important as well. So this is what you need. This is the minimum required to get paid for the work you, or this is the minimum required to continue to work for the rest of the week, etc. Okay? Otherwise, you basically just say, no, you can't work anymore. You're not doing work. This is, I wouldn't say required, but essential to stay on budget, to stay in the budget month to month. Okay, so unless people are doing, people need to be working on client work and actually doing billable work if they want to stay in the budget. But we're still going to pay you for the work that you did, and you're going to keep working throughout the week as long as you're doing assigned work, right? But if you don't do assigned work, then we're going to cut you off and be like, okay, you can't work anymore for the rest of the week. And as long as you track like the minimum policy to get paid, minimally to get paid for the work you did is to put the number of hours and the date and what you worked on in your work report. So that's the minimum to get paid for the work that you did, right? And to continue to work, you have to meet that policy, okay?
Okay.
So everybody gets paid for the work they did as long as they track the number of hours, the date, and what they worked on in their work report. To continue to work, 50% of your work time needs to be on assigned work. And to stay in the budget, you need to be working on client work and billable work for 25% of your time. And just make sure that note this is 25% of 25% overall, which is 50% of the 50%, right? So this is, in other words, this is included in assigned work. Okay, so all client work is assigned work. Does that make sense?
So the formula to do so is assign over overall and client over overall.
Yeah, so you have overall work, right, is 100%. Then you've got 50% is assigned work, and then you have 25% is client work. And we would say, you could even go to another bit would be actually, billable client work.
So if I work 10 hours, right? From those 10 hours, I must spend 50% in FQN payroll, in the midweek check-in, in stuff like that. And from the other 50%, I must work on George entities or EXA, correct?
Well, the policy is that 50% of your time needs to be on assigned work, which includes Jorge entities and payroll and everything that's assigned to you, right? What it doesn't include is training. So, for example, you were in the midweek check-in, right? How many people did you complete in the midweek check-in?
They were explained to me because I
so if you didn't do any midweek check-in work, first of all, you shouldn't have been doing it because we're in a hard stop, and second of all, that's not assigned work. That's training. Does that make sense? Like, so you can't just endlessly do training and never do any actual work. It's not assigned, right? Training, meetings, right? Training, meetings, et cetera, is not assigned work. Period.
Okay.
Right? So basically, the way we would think about it is that if you spent an hour learning how to do the midweek check-in, that's wonderful, but it's not assigned work. You're not assigned to sit around and learn and not actually do any work or have any production at all. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the difference between assigned work and actually, just doing overall work, right? Overall work is all the training, meetings, planning, et cetera, all of what we're doing right now. This is all overall work. We're not actually doing any assigned work right now. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can we do an example, like Eileen. I think that we are trying to do it.
Yeah, we'll go through Eileen, right? But I do that next. So, but let's just make sure we have the overall goal clear. So that's good. So then the next step would be, all right, and actually let's also get the link. So this is the link to the responsibility organizing for the midweek check-in verification spreadsheet. Oh. I don't think that actually worked. Let me try that again.
Sorry, I missed you. Come again.
I just don't think that it worked. I'm going to try again. Yeah, that's better. Can I edit this? Okay. All right, so the next step here is the dates. So the dates follow the lunar cycle, and there's exactly one week per cycle. So it is the new moon to quarter moon, first quarter moon, the first quarter moon to the full moon, the full moon to the last quarter moon, and the last quarter moon to the new moon, right? And this would be week 1, this would be week 2, this would be week 3, and this is week 4. All right, are we on the same page?
Yes, let's bring the web page that you show me. That will be a good point there.
What web page?
The page that it says when the moon starts.
Oh yeah,
the cycle.
Yeah. So that's Moon Giant. Where is that? Here it is. Moon Giant is a great place to get that kind of information. Boom. Great. Cool. That's a good one. All right. So example of where to get exact dates. Cool. All right, but more importantly, you technically should be getting all of your dates off of the Selenium calendar because that's the actual calendar that we are using. Okay.
Okay.
So, but it's good to just know the rough dates. But the Selenium calendar has the exact dates. All right. So next is when you do the midweek check-in, there are 2 sub-goals. Goals are very clear. 1, to update the data for the previous week, right? Because it is complete. So this makes up the majority of the decision making on the midweek check-in. For example, if on the previous week the worker did 60% assigned work, the probability that this week they are not achieving the policy is very, very, very low. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Example, if last week the worker only did 15%, assigned work, probability that they are not achieving the policy is very, 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 very high. Okay, so the decision making that we use is primarily based on the previous week, and that's the most important because that's the actual data that we have. And then the current week, we just do a very quick check on it. And so number 2 is to quickly see the information for the current week and compare if available, right? So basically this is secondary and does not make up our primary decision. And many times there is little to no data available for the worker, right? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So most of the information is coming from the previous week, not the current week, but we still call it the midweek check-in because we do the check-in at the midweek of the week. Okay? And obviously, people who we flagged from the previous week, we want to take a much closer look at for this week. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so are we ready to do a practice run?
Yeah, I think so. Also, I believe we need to update the titles of the external clients, external client work, internal business operations, and 50. That is 4. What if you are telling me about 2? Where is 4 columns?
Okay, so basically what you have is you have the 50% assigned work, right? Then you have client work, internal and external client work, and then you got internal business operations, which is other billable work.
But you are telling me that it's only 2, and there is 4.
Yeah, so
that could also confuse the people who is going to do the midweek review, right?
But it's just really good and important information to have. So I would say the best thing to do would be to add another row up here, right? And then say, okay, this is 50% assigned work, right? And then I would actually switch these around because it's not totally clear. So I'm just going to do that just for fun. Hopefully it doesn't screw everything up. See what happens.
You're doing in the January the 30th. You're not doing it in the copy. You're doing it in
the main one. Yes, that is where I want to do it. I want to do it in the main one. So if I go to insert to the right, and then I take this, let's see if it works. Yeah, there it goes. And then this should be deletable. Cool. So then here we have 25% client work, and then that can be merged to make it really clear. And then this can be centered, and then this is other billable work. So does that make a little bit more sense?
Let's try to put some colors in there.
Why colors? I think colors would get confusing.
No, because 50%. Okay. It's like the 25% is column E and F, right?
Yeah.
And the 50% is column D.
Column D, yeah.
Okay.
So does that make sense? So yeah, does that make sense?
Well, I think we are getting there. Why it says, canopy exa is from the inside, internal. Okay, external. Okay. Okay, I'm with you. Yes.
Does that make it a little bit simpler? I mean, the only reason we're even adding the other billable work is because technically it's billable work, and we want people to be doing billable work. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. So the only other thing that we are adding into this, which we could do, this is our new policy, which would be the temp 1 week exemption, right? And this would be temp 1 week exemption. Yes, no. Right, so that's just like a yes, no. Is this worker exempt? And that's like the new policy that we're proposing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So all the workers that exempt, we could just exempt them, and we would do that because we basically know they're already doing work, right? So
I got a suggestion.
Yeah.
If we can do it, we can add the formula right there.
what's the formula? What formula?
Yeah, the formula to calculate the assigned work and the 25% client work.
Well, it's just the total number of hours divided by, well, it's the number of hours they worked on the assigned work divided by the total number of hours.
But that's key, because total amount of hours.
Well, let's just write that down over here. So
What?
Calculation for assigned work is equal to the number of assigned work hours divided by the number of total hours.
Of total hours that somebody's budgeted, or the total hours
Of
that
work.
he worked.
Yeah, total hours work. So if you're budgeted 20 hours a week and you only work 5 hours, you only need to work 2.5 of those hours on assigned work in the first half of the week. It doesn't matter that you're budgeted 20 hours. We don't care. All we care about is the work that you actually did, and whether or not half of the work that you did is on assigned responsibilities.
Okay, so assigned calculation. Sorry, because it's very.
And we can put this as a comment in there, right? So I could just like put here as in a comment.
Assigned work. Yes, that will be it exactly.
Yeah. So boom, done. So it's in there. But again, you'd have to copy and paste that every time, and I don't know if it will continue to go through.
No, it's the thing is, just do this document very well, so anybody or the people or the guy or the girl who's going to be assigned to do that, it can do it exactly that, because I know that you told me that it's the people trying to do the stuff, but I think it must be a deliverable in some point, and if we do deliverables, there will be a hard stop like today, and that sucks. So if we do this right, then nobody could tell us that they don't know how to do it, because we do this thing right, and so there will be an output or a deliverable in a right manner. Check.
It looks like someone else is doing Eileen. That's too bad. Can someone give me another person to do if you are doing Eileen? All right, so any other questions about all of this?
No, just what I just said. You hear me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I heard you what you said. We want to get as clear as possible, but at the same time, it's just like people can watch the training video and they can learn how to do it, and it's just like we only need a couple people to learn how to do it. Just like, I mean, this is like everything else. You're not going to magically be able to do it without training and learning how to do it.
Yeah, I know, because we are doing the FQM policy, which is responsibility organizing, and we are working on how to complete a specific task, which is very important. So I want it to be very, very like baby steps way. Yeah.
Okay, so I am all about just getting through this and moving on, because we were going to spend 5 minutes on this, and now we're spending an hour on it.
Yeah, let's continue forward.
All right, so we can move on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's do Eileen, right? We're going to do Eileen really quick. And again, I think this is similar to a lot of other things. People way overcomplicate this. Like, it's not complicated. It doesn't need to take a lot of time, all right? So everything we did right now has nothing to do with midweek check and review. It's all preparation and simply understanding. It has nothing to do with actually doing it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but for doing it, it's very important to understand it. So
not always, no.
So, okay, I want to try, do you want me to share my screen? I want to try to Aline.
No, I want to show you how to do Aline, and then
Okay.
you can do Joseph.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So let's go to Eileen. So here's Eileen's work report. So the first thing we found out is that this week is for the current week, right? So it says
Yes.
the 27th of February and 22nd to 27th. We should actually also have, the selening dates. Oh, here it is, 3 to 12. Wait, no, 12's wrong. It's always going to be 14. 8 to 14. All right, so that looks all correct. So that's the current week. So, but we want to go backwards a week, right? So we're going to go backwards a week of the 15th to the 21st. So we come over here, 15th to 22nd. Perfect, right? This looks great, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So right here it says, not updated work report, but there's something there, right? So, and then I also don't understand why anyone would merge the cells. I'm unmerging the cells. And I'm coming here and I look at the work report. Double check, so it's the 19th to the 21st, right? 19th to the 21st. So yeah, so it's within those dates. So that's good. And then we're going to take a look.
15.
What?
15. You say 19. 15 to the 21st.
Yeah. So the 15th to the 21st to the 22nd is the week. She worked from the 19th to the 21st.
Yes.
So it's within that week.
Only 3 days.
1, 2, 3 days. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So obviously she says she did personnel support onboarding with Teresa, session verification spreadsheet. Cool. So she's saying that this would be internal client work. Technically, the internal client work would be Jello. She should write down Jello. Otherwise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Right? So it says internal client work. Well, which client, right? That would be the question there. So, here we would say, actually, let's go ahead and copy all this because we made it all pretty and organized. Let's copy it over here so that it's all clear and organized as well, okay? So right now we're talking about client work, and she said internal client work. And the question would be, which client? And she says she did like 1 hour. Three hours. That's it. I see 3 hours. All right. So if her total amount of work hours is 9, and you do 3 divided by 9 would be about 30%, right? 33%. Okay. So that's what I get for that. And then she didn't do any external client hours or any other.
Sorry, where there is 1 hour. Where did you get the rest?
Well, it says 1 hour here, and then it says training on Adam and updating Adam's work report. So that's an additional 2 hours.
Okay, so it's 1 hour, 2 hours. Update Adam's work report is 0.75 and training.
But again, it's like it doesn't need to be exact at all. Like that's where I'm trying to get. The whole point is that we're going way too exact, right?
So it's 2 hours in total
for the internal client work.
Not 2.75. So internal client is wrong.
What do you mean? I'm confused. I'm just saying it's about 33%.
Oh yeah, please do the math again.
What do you mean do the math again? I did 3 divided by 9. It's 33%.
But 3 divided by 9. Sorry, where those figures come from again?
She has 1 hour on Wednesday for internal client work. She's got 2 hours on Wednesday the 20th. Oh, that's so weird. All right, on the 6th and the 7th. So 1 hour on the 7th, 2 hours on the 6th.
So you are putting the 1 hour and the 0.75 you are taking as 2 hours and 1 hour in the 21. Not taking 1.75.
What? I'm confused. Who cares? It's 0.25 hours. We don't even ask people to track 0.25 hours. It's like absurd. We ask everyone to average to the nearest half hour. Right? It's like we don't have time to crack 0.25 hours all the time.
Well,
it costs us more money to track 0.25 hours than to just average it out. I mean, this is my point, is that this is not payroll. You understanding me?
yes.
This is not payroll. This has nothing to do with how much people get paid. This is just checking to make sure people generally have worked enough hours.
Okay, so it's 33%.
Yeah, it's about 33. I don't care if it's 30%. I don't care if it's 25%. I don't care if it's 40%. It's like it's a little less than 50%, and it's not a big deal. It's like it's plus or minus 10%, right?
Okay.
Okay, and either way, it's not even applicable to the midweek check-in. I just got sidetracked on this because it was the first thing that came up. All right, so what I should be doing is focusing on the overall, assigned hours. So she says there's 5.75 assigned hours, right? So here I see 1, right? Session verification spreadsheet. I mean, that's a really long time for session value tracking, right? So that would be 2 hours. Then here we've got
one question. The work that you already said that she has for assigned work 1 hour, so that hour can count by 2.
I'm confused. So I'm sorry, but we skipped ahead to the internal client work because that was just the first thing that she had, and I just did it because I didn't think it was going to be very complicated, but obviously very complicated. So let's just ignore all the internal client, external client, internal business work, and just focus on the assigned work, okay?
Oh, it's because this is, sorry, okay? I'm trying to figure it out. There is 1 hour of work can be uncountable in 2 different aspects.
All I can say is that any and all client work, internal business operations, and are all considered assigned work.
So it's not. It's 1 hour of work client only applies to work 1 hour of work clients, right?
All client work and all other internal business operations work is considered assigned work.
So it can be.
Everything is assigned work if it's assigned work.
Okay.
Right? So assigned work is assigned work. All client work is assigned work. All other, billable internal operations work is assigned work. Right?
Okay, let's continue.
Well, let's have an example of what is not assigned work.
Training.
Training and
that will be meetings, planning.
Perfect. Great. Right? So everything that's client work is obviously assigned work. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So back to Aline's, and if you could just let me do this and get it done so I can show you what I'm trying to show you, and then you can ask questions afterwards, that would help me a lot.
Okay.
All right, so let's just back up for a second and just pretend like we haven't even started to start over from scratch, okay? So the internal client work, external client work, internal business work, none of this is applicable to the midweek check-in. It's helpful to have the information, but it doesn't directly apply to the policy. Does that make sense? It's just a guideline,
yes.
Right? So this is a good information to have, but we don't want to focus on it with any particular effort or time like we are right now. right? This is what we're doing right now is the opposite of what I'm trying to explain. It's like literally the exact opposite. It should not be complicated. It should be very simple, and it should be very quick. Okay? So let's just start over as if we didn't even do anything yet. Okay? So we're only going to focus on the assigned work. Go to Aline's work report. She says that she did 5.7 hours of assigned work. So all we want to do is verify that, right? So here we've got 1 hour, 2 hours, right? Then we have payroll for a half an hour, right? Training and actual. It's odd. Training and actual, training and actual. Huh. So I would say this might just be a half an hour because the training isn't assigned work.
Yes.
Right? So that could be a problem. So if I reloaded this, I would make that, green. Or not green, but like yellow or orange. Training Adam. So obviously training Adam would be assigned work. So that's personnel, support. Update Adam's work reporting doc. So let's just say that's 2 hours. So we do 2.5 plus 2 is 4.5 hours. And then here we have Phoenix billing, daily responsibilities, verification, spreadsheet. And that looks like a half hour of that. So I have 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5 hours. Is that right? I think that's right.
4.5 hours. Yeah, I think so.
Right, so 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So I have 5.5 divided by 9 is about 61%, right? So overall, we would say that, we could double check her total hours, but I mean, I think it's pretty good. And so then this would be about 60%. And I don't even care about the 0.11 or 6, whatever. It's like, who cares? It's just like, boom, we did it. It should take less than a minute to verify her time, unless there's some major problem. So then I come to the current week. And right here we have completed midweek check-in verification, 1 hour. Output. Well, obviously that's not correct, right? I'm glad that she worked on it, but there was no output. Worker hours, midweek check-in verification, session value tracking, 0.25 hours. Organize the quantum super team doc. That was actually really helpful and super important. So that, organize it? That's not an actual assigned work though. Organizing a doc isn't currently assigned. So I don't know what that means. Cobalt Buddy Team session. Abdul and Aline personnel hours tracking and pay spreadsheet. So that we have 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, so it'd be 3 divided by 10. I get 30%. Okay, so that's pretty much it for me. So I mean, less than 2 minutes per person should be more than enough to like get the minimum done that needs to get done for the policy.
Okay.
Right, and if we want to do a little extra, we can. So, like internal client work, 0. She didn't do any internal client work that I see here. So that would be 0%. External client work, 0. Other billable hours. Maybe this could be billable hour for payroll, 2 hours.
2 hours for payroll? Yeah, payroll is important.
So maybe about 20%. Okay. And let's go ahead and, make it look a little less terrible. That's going to be 0, and this one could be orange, because it's, like, better than 0, right? And then here, this should probably be 0. And then this would be internal business from last week. Payroll, half an hour, maybe. Adam's worker part, this is onboarding stuff. I think that might be billable. I don't even know. So let's just say 1 hour divided by 9. So maybe about 10%. Cool. So I think this is pretty much done. But anyways, it should take less than like less than 2 minutes to do somebody. It's just like boom, boom, double check. Is it green? Is it red? What is it? Done. Move on.
Okay, so
and ideally, if it is low, like you could put a little note about why, if you know why, right? So for example, here. Organizing documents isn't, organizing docs is not assigned work, right? So I think that's the only thing I could really comment here, but,
Okay, so we go to Steve Otieno.
Okay, yeah. So Steve O.
So
and I just want to make sure it's clear that this is all like complete nonsense. The idea that you exempt a worker like that's just not how we do it. The worker is exempted over here, which means that whatever is over here doesn't give them a hard stop or a soft stop, but that doesn't mean we don't do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so where are we?
Steve O.
Steve O. Okay, so we click. Oh wait, did you want to do this one, or do you want me to do it?
No, I wanted to do it. I want to learn. So first, I go to the previous week. That will be the Tuesday the 15th to February the 22nd, right? So let's look this. Okay, I got it. So we got total client. We got assigned task hours 10, and we don't have any more time on that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So the 2. He worked more hours, but he's not putting it there. So we must add up to him.
What do you mean he worked more hours?
Because it's 2 hours. 2 hours on Thursday the 15th. 2 hours on Friday the 16th. 4 hours in Sunday. Another 1.5 hours on the 19th, and the 20 is 2. So he's already 11 plus hours.
Two.
Yeah, I understand. The add up of how many hours he worked, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is how much he worked on the assigned task hours.
Yeah, exactly. 2, 4.
Okay, so
5, 6. I get like 7.5 hours. But that's my calculation.
No, but it doesn't matter, right?
What doesn't matter?
How many hours he worked, just how many hours he did in his assigned task.
Well, yeah, divided by the total number of hours. So the total number of hours does matter, but again, it's just a estimation. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Well, but he assigned work. He's only 10 hours, right? So we need to look for the assigned work in this work report. So billing is one.
I get 13.5 hours overall. I mean, I think that's fine. 13.5 hours seems correct.
Yeah, but for the midweek check, it doesn't matter, right?
You have to divide the number of assigned hours divided by the total hours.
10 divided by 13?
If you believe that 10 is the correct number, I count only like 7.5, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay, I miss it. Please do the calculation again. So where is the total? What the total hours are? Oh, you changed the total hours of work of him.
No, I didn't change anything.
Oh, it's over. Ah, sorry, I missed it because it's in the next page. I was watching only the. Okay, 13 hours. All right.
Were you doing the previous week? I mean, the next week, or what's going on?
No. The week from the 15 to the 21. Yes.
Okay.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
Check the week.
This is the previous week.
So the second step is to check if the total overall hours are adding correctly, right?
No, I mean, I would just assume that the total number of hours is correct. Like it's important to if there's major mistakes or whatever, but I wouldn't waste the time. And I already did it twice, so I would just focus on the assigned task hours, add it up, and then move on. I mean, just it doesn't need to take a lot of effort or thought. I think you're thinking about it too much.
Yeah, sorry.
The only thing that you should be thinking about is whether or not something is an assigned responsibility. That's the only thing to think about.
Assign responsibility. So update new contribution ranking spreadsheet 1.5 hour. That would be an assigned work, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's correct. 1.5 hours. 1.5. Calendar verification 1.75. I think that's also assigned work. 1.75. Updating Asia master weekly daily notes schedule. I think this is not assigned work.
I would agree.
Yes. Okay. Story team all workers work tracking hours billing. Billing is assigned work. So yes, that will add up 1.75. Correct.
Yeah, I would agree. Mm-hmm.
Asia master weekly daily notes schedule. The schedule is important, so that will be also an add 1.75.
No, that was the same one as the other one that you didn't add.
Okay.
So the Asia master weekly daily notes schedule is just part of everyone's job. I mean, it's just you just update the notes schedule and you update the document so that you're organized, right? It doesn't actually accomplish anything. It's not an assigned responsibility.
Yeah, and the last one will be update the new contribution ranking spreadsheet.
Yes, that would be included, yeah.
That will be also 1.75. So I add up all of this, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that will be 1.75 plus 1.75 plus 1.5 plus 1.75. 6.75 hours. Well, 6 hours overall. So it is going to be 13.5 divided by 6 point.
The other way around. 6.75 divided by 13.5.
Okay. Okay, one moment. So it's going to be divided by 13.5. 0.5. So that would be 50%, correct?
That is correct.
So Steve-O is in assigned work is not 65.63, is 50%.
Yep.
So I'm changing that. And let's go to internal client for that particular week. So the internal client is going to be okay. So that's the tricky deal, because one. So Asia Master Weekly Daily Notes schedule.
So here's an easy way to explain the internal clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to do internal client work without a client?
No.
No. So do you see anywhere a client listed anywhere?
No.
Yeah. So done. No clients. So if you don't have a client, you can't bill a client. There's no billable anything. You know, no client, no billable anything, zero. Move on.
Okay, very important. So
right. So and that's the same thing with Aline, right? When I was going through Aline, it said she did 33% of her work on internal client work, right? But it's like, well, which client? It didn't say that there was a client. So if there's no client, you can't bill a client because you didn't track any work for any client. So if you're going to track a client work, you got to put the name of the client in your work report.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Steve-O is done. And the client, but I believe.
Well, no, Steve-O's not done. We only finished the previous
for that particular
week.
Yeah,
but this is perfect. This is like someone can meet the assigned policy of the 50% assigned work, but have no billable hours at all, which is a problem for their team because they're not bringing any money, right? So that's why the midweek check-in, verifies their billable hours as well as their assigned work, so that there's some clarity. Okay.
So the only thing that is valuable is the assigned work and the internal clients. That's it. The external clients and internal business operations are not needed to be updated, right?
Well, but I mean, in his case, he doesn't have any external clients or internal business operations work. I didn't see any, at least. So the concept here is that he has the 50%. I mean, I guess the only thing that might count was that it did say he was doing contribution rankings. So, maybe we could put like 10%, contribution rankings for the billable work. So I think that might be billable. In the context of the assigned work, though, most of the work he's doing is just all like internal work for his team and not actually billable, right? So all you have here is you have your assigned work and you got your billable work, right? Is it billable or not? If it's not billable, it's great to be doing all the assigned work, but if it's not billable, then it doesn't really help a lot. It doesn't actually pay the bills.
Okay, so going to the week from February 22nd to today, so 28th. So he got nine work hours. So let's add up. Updating Asia Master Weekly Daily Notes schedule. That is not. Updating contribution rankings. Okay, that's 1.75. 1.75 plus. Asia Master Weekly, no. Daily responsibilities verification spreadsheet, no. Updating story team, all workers work tracking hours, billing, that would be a yes?
A yes on the actual, it being assigned work, which one?
Updating story team, all workers work tracking hours.
No, absolutely not.
No?
Well, no, that's assigned work. Yeah, that's assigned work. Yeah, it's not a billable work. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that would be 3.25 divided by 9, right?
Yeah.
So 33%.
Yeah, sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will do it. Well, no, I will do it 30. Stephen O. So it's not 52, it's 35%. And this is going to be orange and 0 worker coordination. Okay, so I see clients. No, sir, I don't see any clients right now. So this is going to be 0% and is in red. 0%, and all this is 0% also. Okay, so we can continue then. Well, this is very important because I finally understand how to do it, because I see there is a lot of confusion in how to do it. Hello?
Yeah, I think I might have figured out the mistake with the internal clients is that we switched it around on one and didn't switch it around on the other. So that should help a little bit. So internal business, wait, no,
But
that's internal business operation.
If I made a suggestion, for me, it will be more simpler first to eliminate the external client and internal business operation, to eliminate those both columns and focus only in assigned work and internal clients. And then when the midweek check-in is going well, we can add up again those two columns. Because that could be also confusing, and also in the worker coordination doc, in what we are doing, the policy meeting calculation, we also add up that client is external client. That's it. In this case, is George entities, right? And Canopy, maybe. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes?
Uh-huh.
Right now, our external client is only Canopy and George entities, right?
Internal clients or
No,
external clients?
No. I'm saying that if we eliminate the external clients and the internal business operation, the midweek could be more easy to update. And when the people understand it, can we put it back again? And also, the internal clients is only one, which is Canopy and George entities, right?
So Jorge entities will be considered a external client.
So what is the internal client? What is internal client then?
An internal client is when you when you have an internal business that's within the FQN community network.
So that would be Canopy. Yes.
Canopy would be an internal client.
Okay, so it's much simpler then. So yeah, so for Steve-O is 0%.
Yeah, so I could even like note here. So internal clients would be like Canopy, sponsorship, Jello, J, personal, and et cetera, right? And then external clients is Jorge entities. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Internal business operations would be all of the, finances. No, not finances. It was, what was it? Worker coordination, billing, budgeting, or invoicing, budgeting, et cetera, yeah. Cool. All right, so anyways, so the only major problem I see now is simply that we skipped all of the exempt workers. But other than that, we are good. We should be tracking the exempt workers by week. So Adam Cole, Teresa. So Teresa, 3 weeks left, right?
Teresa? Yeah, I didn't. I never see her again.
Adam Cole. I think Adam Cole, it should just be done. Like 1 week left max, right? I don't know. It just seems like he's been around for a while. Lopa, at least 3 weeks left. Mispa, 4 weeks left. She's brand new. Cool. Cool. I mean, I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, thank you. And we're 3 co-chairs show a little faith in our disregression on what we give for midweek check-ins. Disregression, discretion. Discretion.
Okay, so internal client cannot be external client. Will show we need to bring the worker coordination. How one of the things that I if you can teach me is the midweek review verification spreadsheet is in the worker coordination doc. How I link specifically that into our body team. That exactly part.
Sorry, say again.
That I want to bring what we just update in the worker coordination doc to our body team, but I don't need to bring the whole document, just that part. So how I do so?
Sorry, say one more time.
Yeah, I want to bring the notes that we put in the worker coordination doc, but I don't want to bring the whole document, and the next time I'll need to find it. I just want to get there, like yeah, I don't know how to explain it. No, never mind. That's it. Worker coordination is updated with midweek review verification spreadsheet with 14. Okay, so I will come back to continue this, I think, with George, okay?
Okay, where are you finish?
I'm going to take a break, and we are going to continue to end this, the midweek review. I'm going to tell him how to do so and do it.
Cool, yeah, and we also have the video too that we can do.
Oh, you have the link for you record this?
Yeah.
Oh, please put it in our body team, if you may. Nice. So Did you bring the recording?
Say what?
Did you bring the recording?
Well, I have the recording, but it's not on YouTube yet. I can add it to YouTube as needed. We're recording right now.
Yeah.
So just to make sure we're clear, you are done. You're leaving.
But if you want, we can continue then.
Well, the next part was the HR rankings.
Okay, the next part is the HR rankings. Okay.
Cool. So I think we're on the same page on the midweek review. The main thing that seems odd about it is just that how long it seems to take and the amount of focus. We don't need to know 1/100% of somebody's assigned work. If they really want to put it on and it's like they have the data, whatever. It's not a big deal, but it's just not an exact science. We just need estimizations. So we know more or less where people are at. Are they at 50%? Are they at 45%? Are they at 60%? We just want a general idea. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. So obviously the outcome of this would be Aline and Steve O would be on, and possibly even Asif Iqbal. I don't know. We could double check Asif Iqbal, but that would be the next step. So the next step would be to decide who is on soft and hard stuff. All right, so that would be the next step. Basically, you're talking to the people who are, maybe not meeting the mark, and just, making sure that they are not just totally not knowing what's going on, right? Because we don't want to like not tell them later.
Sorry, Jay. Can you verify my previous week? Because I think that's not correct.
What's not correct?
It seems in my midweek check-in, in the week from the 15th to the 22nd, it seemed like I didn't do any work. So if you can check it, one moment, please.
All right, so this is the current week here, and you said that you like the current week, but let's check it real quick anyway. So you have Jorge entities, payroll. That's it, right? So that would be 4 hours.
The previous one,
50%. I'm checking both.
Okay.
So that looks correct. And then we got the previous week is Jorge entities, umbrella ledger. So we have 1.5. That's 2. That's 1.5 plus 2.5 is 7.25.
No, I do more.
Divided by 16.75 is 43%.
Okay, can you update it then, please? Or I do it?
43%. Let me give it a little yellow. And I just am not a big fan of tenths and hundredths of a percent. It's very silly. Cool.
External. But also external, I do George entities. So that's also not correct.
0.75. Oh, this is training here, so it actually technically would have been a little less because there's some training in there. So we could do like, I don't know, 39%. Jorge entities 0.75, 0.5, 1.5.
I think, dude, I see why it's so important.
16% is what I got. I'll just put it 15%, you know?
Okay.
So for here I get 15%. So again, I mean, but what's important is not the numbers, right? What's important is the general conceptual framework of it. That's what's important. Right? So
Yeah,
it's
I
like
understand.
so it's
how
just
much
like we
time-
can quickly look at the spreadsheet and having a general idea of, as an organization, you know, are we doing the work? And the easy thing to look at here that you can obviously tell is that we're not getting the client work done. Right? It's pretty obvious. Is that pretty obvious or not?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the problem and why we are not being successful as an organization. So if we don't get the client work done, we don't get paid, we're not going to make any money. So I think we're good on this. Are we ready to move on to the HR stuff?
Yes, sir.
Cool. We have 20 minutes, so let's do it. So close that, close that, close that, close that. All right. So this would be HR rankings.
Also, in the HR rankings, you say that it will be. No, let's go first with this one. Later, I ask the question.
Okay, so I should just keep going. So HR rankings
Yes, sir,
would be
please.
part of the rankings project. So I'm going to add the rankings project doc. Go ahead and pop that open. So, oh boy. I mean, all I'll say about this is that Abdul put a lot of stuff here, and this is, yes, we are creating the list. Okay, cool. Oh my goodness. Abdul has created a lot of stuff here, and I'm not sure what to think about it all, but team HR rankings and budgets, HR personnel rankings, so it's a little confusing. HR rankings based on actual overall total paid per month. So this is kind of what we're doing, but it still doesn't make any sense.
Okay, that's the work that I'm doing. George and I are doing it. So, yeah, okay. What's the issue, please?
Okay, so let's just back up one step and just review HR ranking models. So we have a couple different HR rankings that are important. The most important is the direct hourly ranking. So this is money per hour.
You are watching a different one that what I did.
Okay, well, link it here. Whatever you did, we can link here and take a look at it. So
okay.
And I want to make sure this is really clear that this is totally separate from the average monthly pay per worker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know, because you were very specific in doing that. So I do the average monthly total pay on our tracking spreadsheet.
Yeah. So we're making progress with that. But the reason why we're doing the average monthly total pay and hours tracking spreadsheet is for the HR rankings and the public rankings. Like, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, but what you are showing me right now in the other tab is completely different of the average monthly total pay and hour and tracking spreadsheet. It seems similar, but are not the same.
Okay, well either way, they shouldn't be the same because they're going to be different, right? So we'll get to that. So review HR ranking models. So there's 3 types of ranking models that are important. There's the direct hourly ranking, and this would be individual. Then there's the jurisdictional hourly ranking, which is money per hour per jurisdiction, right? And this is also individual. And then the other one is so overall HR ranking, and this is budget proposal, and this is individual, and then there's overall HR ranking, budget proposal, and this is buddy team, main buddy teams. Okay. So those are the 4 types of rankings that exist. These ones are used in the public rankings and determine people's. This is like your the ranking for real-time active personnel and decision and day-to-day decisions, right? And this is the team rankings, and this is for monthly budget decisions. So this is the final budget decisions on who is cut, etc., etc. Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's not the best way. This is the final. This is like team budget decisions on who is cut, and then this would also apply. Also applies to HR board. Okay. So the HR board has final. This has final say in who gets cut in the budgets, but not initial decision making. Cool. All right. So I think that is pretty clear. Is that pretty clear or not?
Review public rankings.
So there's four types of HR rankings, and we're going to focus on the first 2. These are the ones that we're going to focus on.
Okay.
All right. So are we good?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So do you want me to look at the average monthly total pay and hours tracking spreadsheet?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what's the question?
No, the question is, this information, you say that it must be up. We need to update the public rankings with this information. So how I do it?
Cool. So the main thing that's still missing is the average, right? And the average is calculated based on what the parameters that I gave you from before. We could look at the notes or the responsibility organizing for that. But I guess I'll just write it down real quick. So missing is the average. So the calculate the average. Average is as such. So 1, if the current highest pay rate is in the previous or in the most recent month, right? Then automatically use this, right? 2, if the highest pay rate is in a previous month, average to that point to create the highest average rate. So I think it's pretty clear as far as how the averaging works. So you don't have to average. If the highest rate is the current month or the most recent month, then there's no averaging. There's someone here for me. Oh yeah, cool. All right, I gotta go get the 1099s. I'll be right back.
Okay. But um, work hours. Hello, Yay. Hello, Jay.
Are you still there?
Yeah, sure. I'm
I
here.
just got a bunch of 1099s from digital storytellers and Bay Area Creative, but I'm dealing with a slight issue. I'll just need another minute or two, okay?
Okay, don't worry.
All right. Okay, so I think that we should probably just wrap up here. I gotta go deal with some stuff, and I don't think we're gonna have time to go through this ranking stuff in detail. But basically, it's pretty simple. You just take the average of.
Before you go, okay. If you are in the average monthly total pay and our tracking spreadsheet, what I did was how much money the worker was paid and how much hours they were budgeted for, how much hours they worked. So the total hours that he worked per week, yes, in that specific month, and the cost per hour of that worker in that specific time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you add the weekend. I think that just complicates it. And I don't know why
that was the instruction that you gave me the last time. That what I understand. So
no.
to understand how much time the people is actually working, and if the amount of hours that they are work is correct,
no, I mean, all I said was that we want the total number of total amount of money paid and the total number of hours worked, and then that we use that to calculate the actual money per hour.
Yeah, exactly. That's, for example, okay. I take me as an example. In that moment, I was budgeted for $500. I worked 63 hours. So on average, I work 15.75 hours per week, and that hour cost $7.94. But I'm budgeted for 10, so I overworked. But I don't know if that's what you need.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would basically imply that you're working more hours than you're budgeted. Right?
Yes.
Which is why we need to know this information so that we have the correct rankings based on people's actual pay, not what they're budgeted, because their budgeted pay isn't necessarily accurate. But we don't need the week. We don't need the average hours. Like you can just, like the calculation is just C14 divided by D14. We don't need the week. The week is just extra information that's not necessary.
So I can hide it if you want, but this is correct then.
Yeah, well, we could hide it or delete it or whatever. But yeah, this is good. But the only thing missing is the average.
The average for every single month, like adding up the previous month and the previous month and the previous month.
Well, and then averaging them.
Oh, okay, I got it then.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that's missing, and it only needs to be done for the ones where it's higher the previous months. Okay. All right, so I will talk to you later. We get an hour break. I'm going to be back for Cobalt. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. You take care. All right. Ciao.
Have a good one. Bye.
Awesome.